Hey there, welcome to a new video. In this video I'm showing you all the features inside Analog. As the name suggests, Analog is an emulation of an analog synthesizer, so let's dive into it. Here's the interface, and we have at the top left the oscillator number 1. Then we also have the oscillator 2. So they are the same, they share the same parameters. So they have an on-off toggle, then we have the oscillator level, and here we have the oscillator 1 balance, and this slider adjusts the ratio of oscillator 1's output to each filter. So as it's set right now, it goes entirely to the filter 1. But we can just slide and choose like 50-50 or directly to the filter 2 or any other value in between. Then we have the shape, so that's the waveform. We have the sine, the sawtooth, the rectangle, and white noise. Then we have the octave, and here's how it works. Then we have the semitones. Then we have the detune. Double click to reset any parameter. Then we have the oscillator 2, which is the same. Now let's go into this section, which changes as we select section by section. So these are additional parameters. Here we have the pitch envelope. We have the percentage and the time. And here we have other modulation. So we have LFO1 or the key, the pulse width, and the sub-sync. So if we enable one LFO like this, we can then we can also have negative values. Double click to reset, and here we have also the oscillator pitch to the key. So this slider adjusts how much the oscillator's pitch will be modulated by the note pitch. Then we have the pulse width, which enables once we have the square. And we can also modulate it with the LFO1. Then we have the sub-sync. So the sub-sync chooser is a chooser that selects between two optional modes for the oscillator. So sub enables an additional sub-oscillator tuned 1 octave below the pitch of the main oscillator. And then we have sync, which restarts the main oscillator's waveform according to the phase of an additional internal oscillator. Then let's go to the noise oscillator. So this is simply noise with this sort of low pass, and we have the volume and the filter. Now let's see how filters work. So we have our square wave, we have the cutoff frequency, and the resonance. Then we have different styles, different types of filters. And then we have the percentage to filter to. So Now we have the filter 2 disabled, so it directly goes to the amp 1. But if we turn it on, it doesn't happen anything. We need to turn the amp 2 on. And if we turn the amp 1 off, we have the signal flow going this direction. So here we have the other parameters as the envelope. And we have the attack, the decay, the sustain time. We can make infinite S, so decreasing this value will cause the sustain level to decrease even if the key remains depressed, and lower values cause the level to decrease more quickly. So here we have this shape, and then we have the release. We also have the loop, so these are all different styles. So the ADS AR has no loop, but the attack and release phases repeat once when the key is released. So if we leave longer release time, so that's it. Now here we have different slopes, so linear and exponential. We have the legato, and when the legato is off, each new note triggers its own envelope from the beginning of its attacks phase. So that's how it sounds. Then we have the legato that enables the trigger to repeat once a new note is played. So when it's off, it's like, and when it's on, it's like. Then we have the free run mode, and enabling the switch causes the envelope to bypass the sustain phase. Then we have all the other parameters, the modulations, so frequency modulation with the LFO, and the resonance modulation with the LFO and the key. Then the same goes for the filter too. Let's move to the amp. We have the ADSR, we have the slope, legato, free. Then we have all the same parameters. And then we have the modulation of the pan and the modulation of the level. Here we have the pan, and here the level. So my advice is to use these amps to balance the two filters, and these two levels to balance the two oscillators and shape the timbre. Then let's go to the LFO section. Here we have different shapes. Then with the rectangle we have the pulse width modulation. Then we have the retrigger. So with retrigger enabled, the LFO will restart at the same position in its phase each time a note is played. Then we have the offset, the delay, and the attack. So the attack basically smooths out all this shape for the first set milliseconds. So if we have like 210 milliseconds, for this time the modulation will ramp up until its maximum amplitude. Here we have the on-off switch, then we can set it in hertz or time-based, and the same goes for the LFO2. Finally, we have this final section with the overall volume. Here we have the quick routing. So these are all pre-made routings you can use. Then we have the vibrato settings. We have the attack, the delay, the vibrato error, and the vibrato determined by the mod wheel. Then we have all the keyboard settings. So we have the octave. Then we have the keyboard settings, which are the global settings. So they are the same as these ones, but global. It just turns both oscillators by the same amount of octave, semitones, and tuning. We can pick the number of voices, so mono. Then we have the priority, and so this is called note stealing priority, and this chooser determines how analog behaves when the polyphony is exceeded. So let's say we have a number of 12 notes, we have a number of 12 voices. If we press multiple notes at the same time, the number of voices increases for each note that we are pressing. So when it comes to the maximum number, so here in the unison, they have to give a priority. So if we give a high priority, higher notes get the priority, and the lower notes are cut off first. Then if we give a low priority, the same goes, but for the lower notes. And if we do the last, the most recent notes get priority, and the oldest notes are cut off first. And this is the most preferable one and the most common one. Then here we have unison. And then we have the glide. Then we have the glide, which works like this. In this case, it's not working because the voices are different than one. So, okay. So, without the legato, we just press the first note, then we press the second note, and it ramps up. But if we leave the second note while keeping the first one, we don't have this other behavior. Then we have the glide, which works like this. And it works because we have set the voices to mono, otherwise we have this other behavior. And we have the legato, and with legato enabled, gliding will only occur if the second note is played before the first note is released. So let's use a long release. Okay, so now I'm playing the first note, releasing it, and then playing the other one. Then we have the glide. So the glide works like this. And here we don't have a smooth glide, but if we turn off the legato, we have this one. Then we have the time. And also we have this chooser, so with in constant mode, the glide time is constant regardless of the interval between the notes. So if we play or the glide time is the same. If we do proportional, the glide time will be slower for large intervals than for small ones. So this is it for analog. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.